Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a Great One Moose guide. So I'm going to be telling you everything you need to do to be able to put a Great One Moose in your lodge. So this is going to be on Medvid Taiga, but this same strategy will work for any map that moose are on. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set it to moose strength time. So moose strength from 12 to 16 on every map. So I like to set it to about 1400 because that's what seems to work for me when starting the grind. But I actually set it to 1500 when I have the grind set up. And so once it's 1400 or about that, you're going to want to grab a loadout where you have 10s and a gun to shoot them. So what I have right here is a grind setup. So for moose, I have the 4570 pistol. And then the 308, just the Argus scope, the ammo that I need, and then no lures, no consumables, just both the binos, and then I have my tents and my waterfowl blinds. Now, if you don't want to use waterfowl blinds, you can either use tree stands, tripods, whatever you have. They all work the same. I just think that the waterfowl blinds are the best. So then what you're going to want to do is open the map and find every single zone that you can. So I'm going to pop up a map on screen right now of Pro XCK's hotspot map for moose. And I will leave a link in the description to his Discord where you can find every single hotspot map for every species in the game. But yeah, you're going to want to find every single piece of water. And if you're herd managing, which is keeping the low levels in your exterior zones, or the zones that you aren't shooting, you're going to want to leave all the small ones, obviously. And then if you find big ones that are solos, so a solo would be just one moose in one drink zone, you're going to want to shoot those, because they will jump. So if you shoot, let's say, a solo at this lake over here, it might stay at this lake, it might jump around and to any of these lakes, it might jump to the coast. So what I like to do is when I'm setting up, just shoot every big solo that I see, because it's only going to be easier than finding all of your zones than having to go re-find them again. Once you've found the majority of your zones, you have 16 tents and 32 stands to put up on your map. You really don't need the 32 stands, but the tents are so important. So you're going to want to throw a tent at every single spot that you find you need to hunt more. So if you're doing herd management, any spot that has anything above a level 3, and you're going to want to spread it out. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to go and start shooting everything on your map. You're going to find zones that are consistent, and you're going to find zones that just seem to not work. And you're really not going to want to hunt the zones that aren't consistent. It is very important also to keep in mind that you're going to need about 10 to 15 moose per rotation around your map for your respawns to come back. Because if you don't have that, your respawns will not come back consistently, and you'll struggle to find the moose every single time. And that was one of the biggest things that I struggled with on my grind, is just not having moose to shoot. And as soon as I hit that 10 to 15 mark, all of my moose started coming back pretty consistently. So what you're looking for your herds is ideally a zone that has at least two female moose and 2 males. Now, for most of these zones, you should be able to shoot both males, and they should respawn perfectly fine. So let's see if I have any here. Okay, so I just reset the time a couple times and got these to spawn in. So as you can see, I have 2 female moose here and then 2 males. Now, when I shoot both of these males, and they will both respawn in the same zone. But if you have 1 female and 2 males, the males will end up jumping to different zones, and the female will become a solo. So it's kind of hard to understand at first, but as you get grinding, you will understand exactly how it works. And it's pretty annoying. So these zones are not easy to find, but when you do find them, you're going to want to for sure mark them, and even if there's 2 level 2s, you're going to want to shoot them, because there isn't a lot of zones that work perfectly like this on a map. So that's like the most essential thing when setting up a grind. So now the second best type of zone in a grind is 2 males and 1 female. Now you're only going to be able to shoot 1 male, or the female will become a solo and the 2 males will also become solos. So you're not going to want that, because it's just going to be a pain and you'll have to keep running around your map finding your males time after time after time. What I recommend doing when you find a zone like this is getting one of them to a small level, like right here, a level 2. And then this other one will almost always be bigger. And then you'll know that if you have, a level 3 and a level 2, and the level 3 hasn't respawned, and you just see a level 2 in there, you'll know, okay, don't shoot it or the zone's not going to work anymore. It's kind of complicated. The moose grind is one of the hardest grinds to actually get down in this game. But it's what you have to do if you want the Great One Moose. It's very time consuming, and for me to get 2 Great One Moose, it took just about 150 hours. So now we're going to talk a little bit about how you herd manage if you want to do that. So any level 2 moose you're going to leave. Every level 1 and 2. Now for almost all your zones, that's what you're going to want, because that's going to force the respawns to become bigger. So there's a lot more in-depth videos about how to actually get herd management down. But the main thing that you want to realize is all of your main shooters, like this for me, you're going to want the big moose. And then all the exterior zones, like all these zones that I have through here that I'm not hunting, are all going to be level 2 moose. And eventually, when all these zones on my map that I'm not hunting, almost all these are moose, are level 2s, it's going to force the game to spawn you bigger moose in your main zones that you're shooting. So I have about 130 zones for moose here on Medvid. Now, you could have a little bit more, you could have a little bit less, but the main thing is you're going to want to check twice. It's going to be annoying, but that's kind of what you have to do when you do this grind. So also on your grind, it's going to get to a point where you're going to struggle to spawn level 2s. And it is okay to leave a couple small level 3s. So they're going to have the exact same rack as a level 2. So let's see if I can't find one here. Alright, so I went ahead and found a small level 3 that would be okay to leave. So as you can see, score estimate 76 to 130. And if you look at the rack, more importantly, let's see if I can't zoom in here. This rack right here on the right side, or the moose's left antler, is okay to leave. Now, same with this one. If it's like a split rack like that, it's totally fine. You're not going to want to leave these every time you find them. It's more for at the end of the grind when you're struggling getting these small ones to spawn, that this is okay to leave. And it's not a big deal if you leave a bunch of them, but it can just give you worse diamond rates. Now, also with herd management, it's almost confirmed that it will give you great ones quicker. So, if you're not doing herd management, you're almost torturing yourself by willingly making it longer. Now, a lot of people think it's cheating. I think that I like the great ones so much in this game that I'd rather grind in a way that's more efficient, so that way I can go back and put them in the lodge and then go hunt something else that I like after I have that great one. So I'd rather basically spend less time grinding, so that way I can play the way that I like more with the same trophies. Alright, so now we're going to look at tent placement here. So here we are on the map on this lake, big lake over here on the left. So I have my zone right here, and I have my shooting tent over here. So if I stand here at the tent and I mark the zone, you can see it's 262.57 meters away. So as long as your tent is about 230 meters away, you are totally good to put it there. Any closer, you risk them getting spooked and then you'll spawn in here, look out, and they'll already be running away. And you don't want that. Then right outside my tent here, I have my blind. I just walk right in here, and then I'll go ahead and shoot them. Now, when you get to a later state in your grind, you can add pickup tents, which is basically just, so I'll show you right here. I would grab my 308, go ahead and shoot this moose, and I'm out of ammo. That is not good. And then normally I'm using the 300 to grind, as you saw, but he is going to die. So normally he drops, but for this case I'm not using the best weapon. So instead of running over there to get him, that's going to take a lot of time. Go over this tent, fast travel over, and then it's a lot quicker to pick up your trophies. So here I am, as you can see, we got the blood here, and then normally he'll die pretty close. Now I did use the 308, so it's going to be a bit of a track ahead, but not a big issue. Now, while we're tracking down this moose here, it is very, very important to claim every single animal that you shoot on a grind. No matter what, they cannot respawn as a great one if you don't pick them up. Now, this is pretty much confirmed by Jaxie on the EW live stream. So here he is right here, and we'll go ahead and look at what he is. A 213.09 gold, pretty decent. And again, the 308 isn't the best, but it's just to actually take them down. And then even if this track was about 208 meters, you're still going to want to track them. I know it's going to take time. It's going to be frustrating, but it gives you the best results in the long run. Plus, you just shot them anyway, and they won't respawn as consistently if you don't pick them up, and you will notice that in your grind as well. So now for the more difficult tent placement. As you can see, I grind this zone right here. Now I have to put my tent clear out in the woods here and walk into this. That way I'm that 230 meters, or he won't, or the moose here will spook before I get there. And you don't want to be taking running shots. You want a drinking shot, simple as that, just because it's easiest. Same with this one right here. I have to run in, and these tents are in the woods. There's no other way to put it. It's not the most convenient thing ever, but there's nothing you can do about it if you want to be the most efficient you can. Alright, and then the final step here, once you have picked out your main zones. So I have 9 zones that I shoot out of every single rotation. So a rotation will be, you set the time back, you go back to the main menu, and then you start. So I'll go this zone, you know, across the map, hunting every single spot, and then when I get back here, which is my final zone of the run, or the rotation, whatever you say, I will set the time back and go back to the main menu. Now, the reason I'll go back to the main menu is so that the animals in the zone will no longer be nervous. This doesn't force respawns. All it does is make sure that the animals aren't nervous by the time you get back, because if they're nervous, they're going to be out here in the middle of the woods drinking nervously, and they won't be here on the lake. So that's a big problem. So going back to the main menu will fix that 100%. So before we get into the last little bit of this video, I just want to say, if you have struggles with your moose showing up first try, go into your tent, set the time forward by 1 minute, rest, and then as you come out, as you look back into the zone, you should have your moose. You should do this about 2 to 3 times if they don't spawn in, and then just go ahead and actually move on if they don't spawn in from there and come back at a later time. Now, this is a very, very important step, or your moose really won't spawn in. I had this problem a lot on my grind. Now, coming up here, we have a look at our loadout that we're going to want to be using once we have the grind fully set up with the best weapons. Now, taking a look at the loadout you're going to want to be using for grinding moose, I have a loadout saved for moose. So, I have the Arzina 300 mag AR, and then the Valagarda 375. Now, this is going to be your main shooting gun that you're going to want to be doing. It has insane penetration. It has multiple rounds, has a 4-round magazine. And then I just have a 22. That way, if moose are facing away, you can do the 22 trick, which is basically just shooting the 22 near them, and they will go alert, and then walk around a little bit. Ammo, just the ammo for the guns. The Hyperion scope I find to be the easiest. You can use whatever one you'd like. And then binoculars, just the Apex View 7x24. These are the best in the game, and there is no reason to use the other ones. And then finally, I carry tents. Now, when you're setting up, you want to carry tents and tripods or stands, whatever it is. That way, it's the easiest way to go about it. But when you're actually in that grinding mode, you're just going to want to use these type of guns. So usually what I do is I will go up to a zone, pull out the 375, and shoot them first. And if I have to take a running shot, I use the 300 because I find it to be the easiest. Alright, so that's going to be basically exactly how you grind moose here on Medvid. Now, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. Now, this grind will take a lot of time. It is probably the slowest, or one of the slowest in this game. So, you have to be patient, and you have to understand that that is what is to come. But that's going to do it, so thank you guys for watching, I'll see you in the next one.